However, Judaism does not specify the system or method of governance by which this value is to be implemented. The result is that, perhaps in typical Jewish fashion, there is much diversity in conceptual thinking regarding the ideal political system. Indeed, while the biblical model of monarchy is identified by some medieval luminaries as an ideal, albeit for some only realizable in the Messianic era, others point to the same sources to justify a critical view of monarchism and to extol the ideal of a republic. Similarly, it is not possible to claim that Judaism advocates for one particular economic modus operandi. Of course, the Torah is replete with social economic injunctions. But that is precisely the point. They are injunctions. And while they reflect values, they do not necessarily reflect, let alone advocate, for a particular economic system as such. I referred at the outset of my presentation to the section of the Mishnah known as the Ethics of the Fathers, Pirkei Avot. In chapter 5, Mishnah 10, we are presented with 4 economic typologies. And while it describes individuals, the insights are relevant to certain systems and ideologies as well. I will present them in a different order from the way they appear in the Mishnah for my own purposes, in order to emphasize the particular passages I want to. There is one who says, "Mine is mine, and yours is mine." That is a wicked person. There is one that says, "Yours is yours, and mine is yours." That is a saintly person. One who says, "Mine is yours, and yours is mine," is an ignorant person. And one who says, "Mine is mine and yours is yours," this is an average approach, but some say this is the quality of Sodom. The first 2 of these statements are obvious. The first example, one who says, "Mine is mine and yours is mine," is of an avaricious, egomaniac nature, devoid of restraint, who has no respect for the rights, dignity, and ownership of others. The second, as I presented it, one who says, "Yours is yours and mine is yours," reflects an exceptional altruism, a lack of self-preoccupation, together with concern for the needs of others, that is almost superhuman, and thus cannot serve as a normal model, as admirable as it might be. However, the analysis of the third, as per my order, is interesting. The Mishnah declares that the one who says, "Yours is mine and mine is yours," is ignorant or foolish, i.e. the proposition that rejects the concept of private property goes against human nature. It may well be a well-intentioned proposition, but it is doomed. And we might add that we have seen that efforts to implement it lead to serious negative moral consequences, as this land has seen under communism. But arguably, the most fascinating position is that which is described initially in the Mishnah as an average or normal approach. This is one who says, "Mine is mine and yours is yours." Jewish tradition takes the concept of private ownership as something natural and potentially salutary. Aside from anything else, it makes the individual responsible not only for earning his or her living, but also for the way that private property is used, especially for preventing it from harming of others, being responsible for preventing it to harm others. On a more theological plane, the understanding that private wealth is a gift from God places moral responsibilities and obligations upon us in relation to society, and especially the needy, to their benefit. However, the Mishnah tells us that there are those that say that this approach of "mine is mine and yours is the quality of Sodom. For when the legitimacy and even desirability of private ownership becomes a tool for the exploitation of the vulnerable, or even just to ignore the latter, then that normal, natural principle becomes a tool of evil, the quality of Sodom. Again, from a theological perspective, such greed and insensitivity towards others reflects ultimate denial of providence, the source and ultimate owner of all wealth, as stated in Leviticus chapter 25, verse 23. Here too, Judaism is not advocating any systematic ideology. What is highlighted is that which Judaism advocates through its precepts, namely that our economic dealings should be just, attentive to the needs of the vulnerable, and should contribute to society's well-being as a whole. Herein, I believe, lies the crucial role of religion in general and of Christian-Jewish cooperation in particular for the social well-being of society. We may differ regarding the efficacy of a particular economic or a particular political system. However, we have the obligation to advocate for the implementation of policies that advance particular ethical values. Indeed, it is surely precisely a religious worldview that provides the transcendent constancy for such. In 1993, under the then presidency of Dr. Martin Stör, the ICCJ's Theological Committee, I believe under the chairmanship of Father John Pawlikowski, produced what I consider to be the most significant ICCJ document, not least of all from a Jewish perspective in that it uses classical Jewish textual sources in its call to the Jewish community, entitled Jews and Christians in Search of a Common Basis for Contributing to a Better World. It emerged from the ICCJ consultation in Eisenach. In those days, ICCJ used to reduce its financial expenditure by having a conference every other year and a smaller consultation in the alternate years. After sections that address Jews and Christians separately, the document highlights a shared perspective of Judaism and Christianity towards God, humanity, and the world, emphasizing inter alia the recognition that each human being is created in the image of God and is therefore infinitely precious to God, that human beings are responsible for each other, and the recognition of God's sovereignty in mercy and justice over humanity and the world. Among the values deriving from this worldview, the document highlights the affirmation of the sanctity of human life, the protection of the dignity of each human being irrespective of origin, race, gender, characteristics, or abilities, the protection of the family, the pursuit of justice for all, especially for the weak and vulnerable, and the pursuit of mutual solidarity and peace in relations between people, in family, society, in the nation, and among the nations. These, then, are the values that it is our responsibility as Jews and Christians to advocate for, and most of these were reiterated in the ICCJ Berlin document, A Time for Recommitment. Christian-Jewish dialogue has its own integrity and its own interiority. We do a disservice to our respective heritages and to the Jewish-Christian relationship if we place it only in the context of interfaith relations or social justice generally. Nevertheless, we might bear in mind Martin Buber's famous words regarding the Jewish-Christian relationship that, I quote, "we share a book and a hope," end of quote. While that shared hope also divides us, nevertheless, as the 1993 ICCJ Theology Committee statement declares, we are united in the hope for the establishment of God's kingdom of justice, peace, and love on earth. And it is the book that we share that calls out to us, "Justice, justice shall you pursue," to do our utmost to bring that hope to fulfillment.